Good morning, kids. Good morning, parents, the school administrations, chess teachers, classroom teachers. My name is Saudin. In today's lesson, I am going to introduce you to the Scottish Gambit or Goering Gambit. And this gambit is a nice one to play in the chess tournaments. So let's learn the basic moves. So knight e6 and d4. Right? I think this move is really nice for kids to play. You open the bishops, and it's a little bit different from the moves that you usually play, like this bishop c4 and knight c3. Here you can get very exciting game. Now let's see what can black do here. Black should capture this pawn, but again, I see sometimes kids play also move like d6. Now d6 leads into a trade of the queen, and then you cannot make a castling, right? With the black side, you have to take now with the king, because otherwise you are going to lose that pawn on e5. So I'm not saying that black is losing the game just because it cannot make a castling, but it's a little bit unpleasant, right? So I would suggest you don't play this with a black side this way. So let's go back and see what will be the right way. I think the best is just take this pawn. We studied that in other games, like when I was explaining the Danish Gambit in lesson number 5. So take the pawn. And now on c3, that's the gambit, right? Scottish Gambit or a Goering Gambit. What are the options here for black? You can accept the gambit, or you can decline the gambit. If you accept, then you take on c3. If you decide to decline, then you should play move pawn to d5. Both moves are great. Now, let's first accept the gambit. If you remember, with the Danish Gambit, we played bishop to c4, right? And then we gave even a pawn on b2. But here, white takes on c3. And what are the options for black? Look, black can play a move like a bishop b4 or a d6, right? I like bishop b4. It's an easy move for kids to remember, right? Bishop to c4, and now you play d6. Now this move is important because you don't want this pawn to move forward, right? This pawn on e5, like for instance, if you play knight f6, that pawn could move forward. Now that's the setup you should have for a black side, right? Let's see now. If white makes a castling, black can capture this knight, because this knight now can become dangerous. It can jump to d5, right? So it is important to take the knight and then develop the piece. You play knight f6, and that's good for both sides, right? Here white has to do something, like this move e5 would be a move to play, because the white is pawn down and cannot afford to go into the endgame, right? So if the black makes a castling and bishop e6 and trades the pieces, or bishop g4, right, then white could lose this game. So what white needs to do here has to open the game, like with this move, pawn to e5, and from here the game becomes very complicated, and definitely this is something that we can study in our uh, other lessons, like when we go into details about this opening. Right. So let's go back and see what else can black do here. Look, the other option instead of bishop to b4 would be to play move like a d6. Right, that's also a move that you can play, and then on bishop c4 you can play move like a knight f6. Right, that's also possible. Right. So let's say queen b3. This is the move. If you are playing this with the white side, then the move queen b3 would be important to remember, because you are attacking the pawn on f7. And black can protect this pawn by playing queen d7. Right? Better to play queen d7 than queen e7, because we really hope that we can bring this bishop out and then make a castling. Right? Now, let's say if the white plays move like knight g5 to attack one more time, then the black can play knight to e5. Right? So that's how black can defend this pawn on f7. And the game can continue here. There are many different moves that, for instance, bishop e5, and you can protect yourself by playing c6, and then white plays move like f4, and the game really becomes very, very complicated, right? But it's fun to play. It's fun to play for black, and it's fun to play for white. I don't want to go into this too deep, because this is supposed to be just the introduction to the opening, right? But for advanced level and for a chess team, we are going to study this, and we are going to be preparing, of course, for those openings. Now, this is the introduction, so just learn a little bit, and if you like it, then you can go on your own into the opening, right? Let's go back, and I want to see also the other move. I want to see this move instead of taking. Like, why don't we change this? Let's try to look at this from the black side a little bit. Instead of taking on c3, we could play a move d5, and that's a counter gambit in the counter attack in the center, right? Now, I highly would recommend you to play this way if you are black, right? Because you don't take any risk, and also kids who are playing with the white side, they like sharp games. That's why they play this gambit, right? But if you play this counter gambit, then the complicated sharp game is not going to be happening, because here you are striking the center and just trading some pieces, opening your own pieces. You are not accepting the pawn, right? And now c takes d4. I want to show you one line that is very important here. You play bishop g4. Look, this is a very nice logical move, right? You play bishop to g4. You are pinning the knight. Bishop protects, and now you can play bishop to b4. Check. I see we are developing all our pieces. Knight goes to c3, and here we are going to stop. If you are playing with a black, then you should try to remember this. I think I showed you in some other lessons this idea. Now look, black is pinning this knight, and here, of course, the white still cannot take the queen, right? So there's nothing wrong if you play move knight f6 and develop the piece, right? Or castling or something like that. But look at this cool move. You take on f3, And after bishop f3, of course, you are not going to take on d4, right? Because you cannot take on d4 because there is this check and you are losing the queen, right? That's not what we want to do. But what you can do is to play queen to c4. And the main reason you are playing this move is that white cannot make a castling at the same time you are attacking on c3. Now, if the white would play queen e2, you of course have to take that, and look, right now, right after bishop e2, you can take on d4. You are winning the pawn. And not only that you are winning the pawn, but you're also threatening knight c2, a fork. So black would be better here. But the correct move for white would be queen b3. Right, the attack on the queen. Here you can trade the queens and play move 97, and you are fine here. Now I didn't want to capture on d4 because if you take on d4, bishop can take on b7. So there's also an attack on this rook on a8, and this 97 is a very solid opening, and it's kind of good. So let's see what else we can learn about this other opening. Oh, I wanted to show you, if you want to study the openings in Lichess, look at this button here. You just click on this, right? And you can see the moves. Now, those are not necessarily the best moves, right? Those are just the moves that are played in the games, recorded games. And you can see here after AB3, 97, right? Of course, 94, there's 94. You may notice up there, all the way on the top, computer is actually suggesting 94, but I honestly don't trust very much the computer, because I notice sometimes there are very, very bad mistakes with this setup up there. 97 is a very solid move, right? You can play like this. Okay. This is a Scotch Gambit, or a Goering Gambit. Now, in this line here, you see, if you look at the chapter 6, it's written that we're going to look at the Latvian Gambit as well, and I want to do that, but there is another gambit that's called Elephant Gambit that I want to do. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to stop this video right now. You can practice this Scotch Gambit and Goering Gambit, and I'm going to record the new video on Latvian Gambit and Elephant Gambit. Okay, kids, see you. Bye-bye.